tolerators. This is To All the Men I've Tolerated Before with Natalie Katona, your weekly look at everyday misogyny. Today, we are welcoming my friend Shanaz. It's Shanaz's first time.
Hi.
Shanaz and I met through the Glamorous Trash Book Club, and she's one of the funniest people you could have in your inner circle. She's here to set me straight on the America's Sweethearts docu-series about the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders.
Yes.
Yes, because as we know, my initial in a fugue state of watching the docu-series, I was like, this is about sisterhood. This is about empowerment. This is about women. And then everyone was like, this was about not allowing women to have eating disorders and get helped.
Yes. Wait, I'm chiming in now, right? Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, go for it.
And about women just like not being paid for their for their talent.
I did have to break it to my dad and his wife downstairs at dinner that they get paid like $13 an hour. And my dad's response was, well, in the 80s, they didn't get paid at all. I was like, okay.
Okay. But still, like, I think in the 80s or in the 70s, I think that's when Victoria's mom was a cheerleader, right? Was it the 70s or 80s? I forget. Around that time. And she said, we were just, and I wrote the quote, we were dancing to disco music and snapping our fingers, and we were just happy to be there and looking cute and doing whatever. But it's like, times have changed. These girls are doing damn Simone Biles gymnastics out there. They are, and their bodies are going through it. Did you see the one scene where Anna Kate's sister, Caroline, I believe was her name, came out with the like...
mobility aids?
Yes. I was like, oh, I was in shock.
You're like, girl. No, and anyone who has a dance background or a cheerleading background will tell you that like it ravages your body. You have like no mobility after you're done. Like I cried during the Lady Gaga docu-series because of how much pain she was physically in all the time. I couldn't handle watching it.
Oh, did you cheerlead? Were you a cheerleader?
No, I was. Did you cheerlead?
No.
No, I was fat and funny in high school. That was my job.
I was goofy and uncoordinated. So there was mine. I did try out and not make it. So there was that. Whatever.
You stood in front of your own Kelly's with a clipboard to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was judged harshly. But I have so much respect for them. And what their obvious talent and their dance talent and just everything.
One of my first memories is my kindergarten graduation ceremony. You know, when they're like, kindergartners, you did it. You're moving on to the first grade. And they have like a little reception for parents to come in and whatnot. And they had us like lay on butcher paper and a friend traced your body. And then you decorated that body with what you wanted to be when you were growing up. And I must have not known what jobs were. So I was like, I want to be a cheerleader. Like it was my only frame of reference.
Oh. And little did you know that although it could be possibly a career, a short-lived one anyway, but you still wouldn't be paid the way.
Right. I would have to sell my soul to TikTok and to appearances. Yes, to Kelly and Judy to make $12 an hour. But no, that's my background in cheerleading. In kindergarten, I didn't know what jobs were. So I was like, I want to be a cheerleader. I don't even know if I had ever seen a cheerleader up to that point. My uncle might have still been in high school and we may have gone to his games. And that's why I knew what cheerleaders were. But unknown. But I do remember like my great aunts cheering and telling my grandma, like, it's because she's so talented. And my mom was like, at what?
I took ballet. Now I think about it. I mean, I did have one part when I was in elementary school. I took ballet, which I loved, but I was not flexible at all. Like with them doing the high kicks and the splits at the end, like I can't even touch my toes.
No,
Like, And I'm pretty sure I'm loaded. I'm closer to the ground than most people, and I cannot touch my toes. So it's like
Oh
I
my
have
God.
no flexibilities whatsoever.
I have a video to send you after this that cracks me up every time I see it. But so I took ballet right around kindergarten and first grade because it was when I lived near my grandma. And I remember that my mom and my grandma made me quit because I got too tired walking around the JC Penney's with them and I didn't want to go and I cried and they were like, okay, no ballerina for you. Like, you don't get to be a ballerina. But we did a tap dance number to Les Poisons from The Little
Ooh.
Mermaid. And that's all I remember.
Oh my, that sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah, honestly. Okay, can we talk about what tricked me during the docu-series?
Oh, what tricked you?
What tricked me? Did you watch the original Making the Team on MTV VH1?
Okay, no, but after I watched this documentary, which I loved, but I was so obsessed with it that I went back and I found it on Amazon and I watched like a couple episodes and then I just didn't really finish it from there.
So when I was in college and we had like bad college cable, Making the Team was my shit because they would play it all day long. So you could just turn on the TV and know that you were going to watch cheerleading. I also love like cheerleading and dance shows to begin with, like Dance Moms, Center Stage, all of those. So when I turned on the first episode and it was still Kelly, I was like, girl, you still kicking it? Like I had been watching the MTV show 40 years ago. I was like, look at you.
She's been there 34 years. I wrote it down. 34 years with them.
I know. And to me, I'm like, oh, they didn't even like trade you in for someone new and hot because you would think that eventually they would.
Right. You're right.
Yeah. But they like truly have a really high esteem for her and Judy in the corporation. So I was like, they love strong women.
Now, I have a question about this. Do you think they're getting paid?
I believe they have to be getting paid because they're hired by the association. Well, I guess the cheerleaders would be hired by the association too, but they're like, not like CEO, but they're at least middle management on the totem pole, right?
Yeah, I would think somebody's been there so long. And Judy's been there forever too. Was Judy still there in the old? Oh, so I would think they were getting paid.
Yeah, you'd hope
I couldn't
so.
tell.
I wonder, we probably could have looked it up.
Yeah, right. Let's just speculate.
Another thing that tricked me into lulling me into this false sense of like white feminism, like everything's fine, Natalie, don't think about it too hard, is number one, we had a rough like summer, like emotional and mental wise when it came to women in general. I feel like every day I was just fighting for my life for someone to be nice on the internet about anyone, about anything. But there's that sorority type as sisterhood that these women present having. Like they ushered Reese into the Starbucks for the first time to be like, we will help you order your first iced tea. And I was like, that's beautiful.
Yeah. I felt like they had that like sisterhood between each other and that like helping each other. And like the first episode, I believe, when they had the first cuts and like some of the what did they call them? I forget.
Veterans.
Like the veterans got cut and they were crying and they were like, we're really happy for you rookies that just got into training camp, but we're really sad also. And they're crying. And I just didn't really, I was trying to connect with that, but I've never been a sorority type of girl. I'm not one of those people that's like, I'm not a girl's girl. I'm not one of those, not one of those. But I'm just saying I've never like had the desire. I mean, I didn't go to college at the college age time. And I never had that desire to be in like a sorority or anything like that. Although I guess it seems kind of interesting, but I don't know. So I just didn't connect with that crying over. I don't know.
For me, it was more like this can't be that toxic of a workplace environment because everyone is super close. But then I was also like, but every toxic work environment I've had, I've gotten inappropriately close with everyone because you're trauma bonding.
And you're a family. You're such a family. And we're a
Oh, we're
family.
a
And da-da-da.
family. You have to be doing it for the
Yeah.
team. And that's another thing that it's hard to shit on the Cowboy Dallas cheerleaders because the girls are so ingrained in the culture and so sold that this is what they want to be doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do believe that some of the girls would, I mean, they were basically doing a lot of it for free. What am I saying? You know, they were working as the one, a veteran said, they were working like equivalent to like Chick-fil-A or whatever.
Yeah.
And I do believe kind of that they would do it for free, but I also believe they are the team. They're the asset. It's not the association or the company that's, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I just feel like, go on strike.
I know.
That's all I was thinking.
For as much as I've watched the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders and all of their like numbers and stuff, I've never sat down to watch a Cowboys game. Like, I don't care about football.
Never. Wasn't even thinking about them the entire time. I was watching the documentary when they had the part at the end where they're losing. I was like, oh yeah, there's games.
That's right.
There's an actual game happening. Like, I didn't give a crap about them.
You're like, oh, that's right. Men are trying to get to the Super Bowl and Travis Kelce is going to ruin that for them.
Like, right. Yeah. And I didn't even think about him even. Like, I for a hot second, I was like, Travis Kelce's on the Cowboys. Like, that's how dumb I am. Like, I don't know what's going on with football.
So it's like hard to shit on them because they're so happy about it. And I'm like, if you're that happy about it, then it must be good. But then, like, I was telling my dad downstairs, I was like, so you do start to like see, if you really squint at it and if you think about it, and if enough of your friends yell at you about it, you do start to see the cracks.
Yes. And don't you think think about other groups that women really, really, really want to belong to, and how these groups tend to be kind of toxic. Like, I was comparing it to like pageants.
Yeah.
Like, women really want to be in pageants. Women really, really wanted to be in Playboy at one point. Look how toxic that is. Like,
I know. We need to have you back for because you're our Playboy expert.
Don't even get me started on Playboy. I will just. There were so many connections though to Playboy with this. There was even a snippet of like the Playboy bunnies in this. I could see so many connections with it, but yeah, like just a model in a magazine, like anything that's glossy, shiny, beautiful, seemingly on the outside. I feel like always on the inside there's something rotten. And I did feel this way about DCC, totally.
Yeah. And so one of my positives was I feel like they went over the top to keep the women safe. But then, so like, you know how when they do photo ops and they're like,
that
you can't touch the women.
But I love that.
I love that. Don't touch me. Don't even look at me. You get to stand next to me, but you can look at me when the picture is on your phone. But my favorite part is they're not going to scream at men, no, you can't touch her the entire day, because that brings down the vibe and that makes everyone stressed out. So they gave them like a little emotional support football. Like, oh, no, don't touch her.
Yeah. Like a child, like a dog.
Like a dog.
Literally like a dog, which I kind of love, because I do feel like I was trying to like put myself in their shoes, because it is kind of an instinct to like put your arm around someone when you're taking a picture. Like, I get that. And I think even more for a man with a beautiful woman, they're probably just like, like turn into mush when they're around someone like, you know, young, beautiful cheerleader girl, whatever, woman. But it was hilarious. They were like, hands on the football.
On the football.
Like, whoa.
You get to touch this. Because all I could think about was gaming conventions that I go to, where I watch like female actresses and like female voice actresses or whatever have to walk through the masses of the nerds to get to their seat or get to lunch. One time I watched Summer Glau from Firefly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
her boyfriend and or her bodyguard, he was some beautiful man I was jealous was touching her, literally had her pinned to his side. I didn't even think that her feet were touching the floor because she, like, you could just tell she did not want to be like left to her own devices in this crowd. And I've overheard like actresses, because I show up to everything early and I talk to everybody. So I've overheard actresses say to like the Gen Con handlers, like, I don't want to, you will come back and get me at 11. Like, I'm not walking out of the room by myself. I want an escort to my Uber to my hotel. And I'm like, yeah, because I also watch
I get that.
Women who are in cosplay who have no bodyguards get taken advantage of the entire con.
Ugh.
So could you imagine?
No.
I
honestly, no. No, I did love that though. And and it made me also think of Keanu Reeves. You know, Keanu Reeves, when he takes a picture with anyone, he's just like, I love that.
He didn't even touch Dolly Parton. And I was like, oh, I would have had to cling to Dolly Parton like a spider monkey. Like, take me with you. Like, no, he never touches anyone.
Like a barnacle.
And at first, I used to think that was sus because I'm like, are you so much of a weirdo that you can't touch people appropriately? But then I was like, no, I think it's literally him overcorrecting to try and be a nice guy.
Yeah. And probably he doesn't want to be touched either, you know?
So Will Wheaton didn't want to be touched at Gen Con because he had a cold or something. Oh. And like people were real bummed out about it. I was like, you don't just get to touch Will Wheaton because he's here.
No, I don't think you should touch anyone. Literally, just nobody.
No, like I had a really great encounter with one of my favorite actual play people, D&D, Abria Iyengar, and like we were chatting. And I asked her, I was like, hey, would you be up for a picture? And she was like, yeah. She's like, and then like, I'm setting up my phone or whatever. And she like flicks my shoulder and she's like, by the way, it would be really fucking weird for you and I to be like getting along and having fun. And for you to be like, hey, a picture. And me be like, no, fuck you. I hate this. And like storm off. And like, and then I asked her, I was like, you up for a hug? And she's like, yeah, we're besties now. So like, there are ways to get around it to where it's like cool and part of the vibe. I don't think that men have those social skills. I'm just going to say it.
I don't think so either. No, I fully agree with you.
No, because I didn't get the ick during the docu-series until men were in the dressing room just looking at pictures of them. And I'm like, I hate this.
I hated that. I didn't like the person that was showing them around and doing the jokes and stuff. I just didn't like, I mean, I'm sure he's a perfectly nice person and maybe it's funny in the moment or something. But that was totally staged too, right? I mean, that wasn't a real thing, you don't think?
Well, number one, everything was staged. Like anything that had anything official to do with like the actual corporation, Kelly had her hands all over it.
Okay, yeah, true.
And because you can tell there's a difference between how the corporation was filmed and then everyone's one-on-one interviews. Because what I thought was so interesting was the women were secretly allowed to tell us like the cons of being a cheerleader. And it was men geotag my car. They find my Instagram and dox me. I've had guys show up to my apartment. So that was something
terrifying.
Terrifying. So that was something else that like really, I was like, oh no, this is doing the work because it's finally allowed. Like they can't go on TikTok and be like, another dude geotagged my car or whatever. Because the Dallas Cowboys are probably watching their Instagrams all the time. But they can go on this very official Netflix documentary and then go, well, I was just answering his question.
Right.
Yeah.
That was scary.
Yeah. No, but I loved that part because I was like, yeah, no, these are the things that women have to talk about. Because, I mean, I think I was like 26. When a woman working retail told me that she wears a fake name on her name tag, so creepy guys don't know her real name.
Yes.
And it never occurred to me that was like another layer of protection you would have to have at your job at Target.
Yes, because people get very familiar with you. Even though I work in public library and I have my name tag, boom, right there. But yes, people do get very familiar when they see your name tag and it's weird having a stranger like call you by your name. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've definitely had that in as like a cashier and stuff. Hasn't really happened to me at my current job, but well, let's just get into the whole like assault that happened then. What did you think about that? Like I feel like we're kind of moving towards that direction.
We're moving towards it. Yeah. So in the last couple of episodes, they're at a game. I'm just giving context to people who may or may not have watched the docu-series. And a cameraman who was clearly hired by the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders, or not the cheerleaders, but the Dallas Cowboys. See, I don't even realize that it's a corporation.
Is there a separation? Yeah.
There's a whole corporation that has nothing to do with the cheerleaders. But he's like a sports photographer or videographer or whatever. He's on the field. And as one of the women is passing him, he grabs her.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck? Number one, like 40 people had to have seen you.
Right.
Like
grabs her from behind, grabs her waist and her butt.
Right. And like presses himself into her. Where did you put your camera? Did you throw your equipment down to get a grope?
The thought process is
well, and I think that's a clear indicator of how normalized the sexualization of women to begin with and how unsafe women are in public to begin with is that man did that maybe on national television. He doesn't know where all the cameras are.
Exactly. And he's a cameraman.
Cameraman.
Yeah. It's happened to me, so I get it. I totally get it. I'm not surprised about the act itself. I am surprised, like we're saying, like the publicness of it.
Yeah. Yes. And she finishes her routine because she's a professional.
Right.
But then she goes off and she finds one of the like on duty cops and she's like, I'm filing charges. And it was that guy. And then they roll back tape to validify her story. And she does get to press charges and that man loses his job. But I don't think it goes any further. I think everything was dropped. A lot of us in the cookies had some differing reads on the situation. And this is how you can tell I'm always playing on my phone when I'm watching TV. Because I put my phone down and Kelly goes, she's talking to who? The police. So her boss goes, she's talking to the police. Oh, okay, good. That's exactly who she should be talking to. And my brain goes, ally. Like she's sticking up for her girl. Like the organization is going to protect this woman. Never happens. The last time I was harassed at a job, my boss said, can you just change the direction that you walk to the office? Like, can you, like, he's a known one and there's nothing we can do.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then within months of that, we got my boss's boss. So we got like a new head honcho. And he fired that guy. Like he went through people's HR records. Yeah, fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy, by the way.
Fuck that guy. But yeah, and like, so I was just told like, toughen up. I don't know, like change your walking pattern. I was also told to stop engaging in it. Stop talking back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Stop walking. Stop walking.
Stop walking. So in my eyes, Kelly's on everyone's side. The woman gets to tell her story to Netflix and police and all of it. And the women rally around her for the rest of the game to make her feel safe and that she's not walking to her car alone or anything like that. So I was like, oh, green flags all around. Everyone 10 out of 10. But you had a different read on it.
I had a slight, I can say Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea
she felt like she thought she wasn't protecting her, like that she had kind of like a look on her face and stuff. And I kind of agreed with that too. I thought she kind of was maybe putting on a little for the cameras and just like, I felt like Kelly was hyper aware of the cameras at all times. Like there were very, very few slip ups. Very few, I thought. And I did sense a little bit of like maybe a look and I could have been just super like, I don't know, suspicious. possibly, because who wouldn't be suspicious of like that corporation being like horrible to their staff? But I did notice a look she gave Judy at one point, and she was like, "Oh, she's pressing charges." Oh, okay, like kind of a pause. Oh, okay, and I don't know, something rubbed me the wrong way about it.
Well, yeah, there's like a passive aggressiveness to it. And I do think when you watch it through another time, like I said, everything that actually had to do with the stadium and the audition process and the actual cowboy corporation, very staged, very scripted. We're giving
you think the audition process, that whole process is staged?
probably not the audition process, but I believe that we probably picked and chose what got because it was way shorter than it's ever been, and that's my favorite part is the like free-form dance auditions where it's like a million people doing group routines or whatever, and it was a very short part of the documentary, but rewatching it, I missed this the first time. There is a guy who I think after Reese's routine, someone does like a firecracker job. Like she just like hits into something and does a little hip hop or whatever, and everyone's blown away. And I think it's Reese.
Yeah, incredible.
Incredible. So Reese walks off of her audition or whatever, trying to get water, and some guy was like, "Can I have a cigarette?"
I saw, yes.
And at first I thought he was saying it to Reese, but I think he was like, it was a vocal overlay and no one was actually harassing Reese.
Oh.
But it was something that they didn't think was bad enough to cut when he was like, "I need a cigarette after that."
I caught that too. That's so funny. Oh yeah, we're kind of jumping around, but that's okay. Whatever. When I said there were some slip ups, like Kelly had a few slip ups where I was like, like, okay, maybe she is evil or something. One slip up was during the audition process when she said, "What is she like about Anisha?" And then Judy was like, "She's Indian. She's Indian."
And she went, "Oh."
She's like, "She's beautiful. She's beautiful." Like, and I was like, my spider senses went,
yeah.
Yay, like, and then another slip up wasn't from her, but it was to her about one of the girls having like a chubby face or something about her face being full or something like that. And that I was like, what?
Well, like, I do have like a whole part of my outline where it's like, these are the easy indicators of misogyny, like the ones that I had already grieved and moved on from when I sat down to watch. And we talked about the low pay. These women work countless hours, put their body at all sorts of risk, and get geotags on their car just for like $13 an hour. Mm-hmm. I will say it would be interesting to get the actual average data of if you factor in what the Dallas Cowboys pay them, plus modeling deals and like TikTok. Like Victoria's on TikTok all the time with her daily affirmations.
I don't follow her on TikTok. I follow her Instagram, but I don't follow her TikTok.
Maybe but you know what I'm saying? Like they're probably getting paid from that or whatever. So like how that's evolved and if like it's starting to like close that pay gap or if they're at least a little bit taken care of. Because for me, the low pay is such a privilege for some women to be able to take because their very rich dads or husbands are invested in them being cheerleaders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then there was Kelly. I mean, her family wasn't rich. Her family, they were really trying to support her, and they put a lot of money into her.
Yeah,
to be able to do that. And dang, I had a thought, and did you think the actual like documentary paid them?
Ooh, I think there are certain rules, and this could just be a true crime rule. But I feel like you don't get paid for your documentary time because it invalidates the like purity of the documentary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I could be wrong, but I feel like that's true. That you don't get paid for like being on a documentary.
Yeah.
Or Dateline or anything like that.
Okay, that makes sense then. And like, I get that they get like some opportunities from being plus on the show and being a cheerleader and all of that, but those aren't guaranteed opportunities. And they still have to hustle. They have to market themselves, like Victoria's whatever she's doing on TikTok. Like they have to market
a whole conversation about Victoria.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
A whole conversation. But I just still feel like really quick. I just want to we were saying fuck you to, let's say a big fuck you to Charlotte Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. I just thought it was so disgusting. I was disgusted at this owner of a football team.
Nepo baby football owner.
Nepo baby, yes. At her finest. Sitting there and talking about the non-existent wages of her employees that are integral to her business, and sitting up there and just saying, yes, I want to acknowledge that. I want to acknowledge that they're not getting paid, and I still don't care, basically.
Right, and they shouldn't.
And I just thought that was so gross, and everything that's wrong with this country. I'm just going to put it out there like that. It really infuriated me the most out of anything in this entire documentary. I think that is what sickened me the most. Because
it's very much like you made it to the top, and instead of going, and now we will pay the cheerleaders, the reason why people come to the games.
Yes.
You instead went, in fact, no, never. And I stand by this. Thank you, Daddy, for my paycheck.
And you talk about like white feminism, and I mean, I think that's the queen of white feminism right there. I mean, closing, not only just closing the door on women, below them or coming up behind them, but you're closing it, you're locking it, you're gluing that bad boy shut. Like, she is really not doing anything to help. And I feel like I think people would argue that because they're like, no, but she's putting them on, she's doing this, she's giving them opportunity, da da da. But really, if the opportunity is not, if you have the ability to pay people what they're worth and you don't, then you're taking away opportunity. Because, I mean, let's just face it, you have to be paid to live, to pay your rent, to eat, to live in this country, and then in any country. But and I just think that is so
well, and we do
anti-woman.
We have a time-honored tradition in our country of taking advantage of people in the name of opportunity, like be an unpaid intern, living in a bedroom in New York, and the bedroom's a closet owned by some lady named Nancy. Be an unpaid intern. Teachers and librarians, it's the opportunity to grow the youth of America and to make them nice. Like, all of these female labor and the invisible labor of women and all of it go unpaid in the name of, but it's going to get better so you can be better. And I can't pay my mortgage with opportunity.
No, it's a lie.
Yeah, it's a lie. Well, and because the American dream's a lie, never forget it. Never forget it.
Never forget.
Never forget. No, the pay thing, and that lady just being like, of course they're paid that much. If they were worth more to the team, we'd pay them more. And it's like, oh, okay.
Okay. How about they all quit?
Right.
How about they all quit on day one, first game?
Well, and that's part of the cult of it all, is that you do have a crop of hundreds of women who'd be like, thank God they all quit. Now it's my turn. Like,
that's true.
And it's part of the
lots of scabs.
Yeah. It's part of the insidious part of misogyny is there's always someone who's going to make it a little bit easier on themselves by playing into the system.
Right. And you can't blame them.
No. We watched The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. We watched it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't finished it, though. I haven't finished it yet.
Well, and like Chris DeRosa and I talked about how on every Real Housewives franchise, what eventually starts to happen is the women are using that show and they're like paychecks at Bravo to eventually leave the husbands that they hate.
Right. Yes.
That's what's happening. And it's like their form of like independence or whatever. But in order to do that, they have to play into the stereotypes of a housewife and like make their bag. And then also all of a sudden be like, I actually hate you and divorce. And my story arc next season, divorce.
Because financial independence really is the goal. I mean, it's really what you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's, at this point, a need, like an absolute need.
Yeah, you're right. It's a need.
Yeah. Another gimme of like, well, also they're misogynist in this way. Who would have thought it in cheerleading? There's no body diversity.
None.
In 2024.
Not even, and did you notice too, not even with the women that came back from like the 70s and 90s and everything.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I did notice that one of the veterans that was walking away crying when they didn't even make it to camp or whatever, she was the tallest woman I had ever seen. And I was like, oh, they found shorter women, like more petite women to be on the team. And that's why you got cut. Like, also, you have to be, if you're planning on being a 5th-year cheerleader, you have to wear the same uniform for 5 years. And it's molded to your body.
Yeah, that was weird with the uniforms. And they weren't allowed to keep them.
No.
Which I would guess is because they don't want them wearing them outside of, they want to try to control the brand, which is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and they probably don't want you selling it on eBay when you're done.
Because they don't want you to have any money.
Right, because they don't want you to have any money.
You can't even have money, like, after that. You can't make any money off of them.
Well, and could you imagine in 2024, like, Susie gets cut from the Dallas Cowboys, takes her uniform, and starts the Dallas Cowboys OnlyFans? Like
right.
Oh my God, what was that porno called? It was like one of the very first, was it like...
Oh, Debbie Does Dallas?
Debbie Does Dallas. Yeah, and you're just doing Debbie Does Dallas.
Was she a cheerleader? I didn't...
I think
I've actually never seen it.
I think, right? Wasn't the whole gimmick was she was a cheerleader doing all of Dallas? So could you imagine they take their uniform home and they're like, fuck you, Kelly, pay me $13 an hour. And you started Dallas Cowboys cheerleader OnlyFans. Oh my God.
You would make millions.
You would make millions. And that's why the Dallas Cowboys are like, no.
No. Give me that thing back.
The integrity of God, country, and football.
You've got something there, though. I think, my mind's...
I mean, there are Halloween costumes.
Yes, there are.
There are Halloween costumes. Also, the thing that got me about the uniforms and like them having to stay in the exact same size for 5 years, let alone a whole year, I was like, how did these whores not bloat? My body changes 3 times a day. The size. Yeah.
Yes. My stomach gets huge when I'm like PMSing. It's like, there's no way.
No, I change cup sizes.
Well, they said they put on two pantyhose at the same time, which probably maybe constricts it a bit. Yeah. And they were a lot of them were so thin. Now, what did you think, speaking of this, the body types of it all, what did you think about stamina?
Oh, about fueling your body?
Well, just the word stamina itself, I feel like that was code word for Edie, right?
Well, so was fueling your body because someone
and being sick. Looking sick. So there was a lot of coded language around don't go tell Netflix we've got anorexic problems running rampant through our cheerleaders. And it was especially jarring when Victoria would be talking a lot about her binge eating and her starvation methods and whatnot, and how she struggles with that, and how it's an indicator of how stressed she is when she's struggling with that.
And then you would cut to Kelly looking at a girl who's about to pass out and being like, did she have a bar today? Like, did anyone throw her one of those oat bars? Is she fueling herself? And it's like, no,
with an oat bar.
Yeah, with an oat bar. And I was like, the Cowboys have enough money to have, I bet you they have a team dietitian.
Yeah.
Why not have
all that stuff?
Yeah.
They have all of it for the guys.
Yeah. I mean, we also
have that issue.
Yeah, we saw Ted Lasso. They can hire mental health support and dietitians and all of it. So if you're very aware that, number one, cheerleading does take a lot of calories to do. You're kicking 100 times a game.
They were out there in 100-degree weather.
Yeah.
That just oof.
And you know that, like, there's a lot of core strength. I mean, think of, like, and
they're athletes.
They're athletes. Gymnasts, ballerinas, all of these places where women are felt the need to, like, do binging and starvation methods like Victoria was talking about. And you're going to look me in the eye and be like, honey, how's your stamina level today? Are you fueling yourself? Like, gross. It was gross.
You're looking it was really gross. And I didn't like, obviously that was horrible, but I also just didn't like the way they were critiquing them. Mm-hmm. It just made me feel like when they were first critiquing them, when they first had the training camp and were doing those cuts, and something felt very, I'm sure I saw a movie like this or something, very sick, voyeuristic-y. It was a lot of older women and men in the stands. Yeah. And then all these young women, young, thin, very thin, beautiful women. And the way they were critiquing them, they had them on the big screen blowing up their face, talking about, for instance, Victoria. Oh, she looked better. I think she looked better. She looks better this year than last year. No, you do? Oh, I think she looked better last year. It's like, what? And I hate to say the word like jealousy when it comes to women a lot of times, but I do feel like it was kind of a jealousy thing because what they had over these women, it was wealth. Yeah. I thought, and power, because they were in a position of power that they could cut them. Yeah. And they were all obviously had a lot more money than they did as well. So, well, yeah. I don't know. It's just.
And then you get to be like your most awful critiquing self and judgmental self in the name of, well, we have a standard to uphold.
Yes. And I felt like that was the greatest excuse ever to be cruel. Yeah. Honestly, just to be cruel. And I think they justified it.
Yeah. Because then the question is like, what, they're going to have an overweight Dallas Cowboy cheerleader? Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? If she can, listen.
If she can move.
When Lizzo was still doing stuff because the internet was kind to her, Lizzo could like run laps around me and literally me and my entire household and maybe everyone except for my toddler nephew. My toddler nephew might be able to wear out Lizzo. Right? Yeah. But like this idea, and I have this argument all the time, like this idea that like the size of my body dictates what I can and cannot do, even though we know scientifically that like weight has very little to do with like how strong you are or how healthy you are. Yeah. This or the other. And we were at the musical Young Frankenstein on Saturday. Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen the movie, but I saw the musical and I was like, wow, this was a lot of tits and dick jokes. Just a lot. Yeah. Just one right after the other. Lots of dad humor. And in the like little speech, like the opera house that's in town here, they had done a really big renovation. But they said that the next phase of their fundraising opportunities and what they wanted to do next was that they wanted to make the stage and the dressing rooms, which I guess are in the basement of the opera house and all that, ADA compliant. Like they want to have people with all amount of mobility.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like They want to make sure that, like, if you have mobility aids or a wheelchair or things like that, you can get under the stage and backstage into the dressing rooms and things like that. And currently, because it's a historical building, it's a harder time. And my dad was surprised by that. He goes, they want people in wheelchairs to be able to get backstage. And I didn't want to make like a stink about it. I didn't want to be all like, yeah. People in wheelchairs can be in movies now. Who knew?
Right. Yeah.
Like, we had the first actors in a wheelchair win a Tony within the past, it's 10 years because I was working in theater. So it's got to be 5 or 7 years in Oklahoma, in the revival of Oklahoma. She won the Tony.
Wow.
Yeah. And so to have this like juxtaposition of like, oh, it's 2024 and like racism has ended and so is homophobia and we're all equal and we love women. And to have literally no wherewithal that like maybe you should consider having body diversity. Like, okay, that woman who's a rugby player who's doing Dancing with the Stars would love to see a woman with her body type being a cheerleader.
Right. And I'm surprised there aren't more women that were her body type out there, to be honest. I bet it, but I think that's why they had the calorie restriction. I mean, they didn't say
they don't say out loud.
They didn't say any of that. But that's what I'm thinking, because you see Victoria eating like a bowl full of watermelon like it's ice cream, you know? It's like, yeah, I mean, and you would think they should be muscular. They should have that a little, wouldn't you think? Because of what they're doing and what they should probably be eating.
Well, and what it means is that all of your routines are floor routines because you're not throwing anyone into the air. Like if you're all tiny and compact and you have like no muscle base or whatever, that's why you have body diversity on a team, so you can do a variety. Like there are no male Dallas cheerleaders.
Right. I was thinking that too, because I think there's a male Patriot cheerleader. If I'm not, don't quote me. You know, no, I probably don't know. But
I've seen boy cheerleaders.
Yeah, right. Okay. It's happening.
Yeah, it's happening.
I was thinking that too. Why didn't they have any male cheerleaders?
Well, it really, like, I get it. Like, the Thunder sounds real fun or whatever, but, like, you think within the last 30 to 40 years, like, we could change up what the, like, routine is. You think.
The song, yeah, a lot of it is based in tradition. A lot of tradition, and that could be, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Culture of Southern culture or the culture of that particular cult.
I also, the way that they would like break up shots and never really take a whole like over panning view of all of the women made it hard for me to see racially where we were diversity wise.
Yes, I did notice obviously that a lot of the Black and brown women were being cut, it seemed like, and there was a mention by one of the judges in the first kind of round about the uniformity or the look of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. And I'm thinking, okay, white and mostly blonde then?
Yeah.
And so where do these other girls kind of fit in? And although I loved I fell absolutely in love with all the girls, Reese and Victoria and Madeline, all of them, Charlie, oh my God, and Kelly, all of them I fell in love with. We never really get to see any of the other girls that are on the team that were rookies. We never really get, except for Anisha, she had a big part, but other than that, we really don't get to know any of the other girls.
Well, and like Anisha had me
the black girls, the brown girls,
the brown girls.
Yeah,
Anisha had me sold from the very first dance move. I was like, entire heart. Like, you have to keep her. She's beautiful. And the fact that she gets eliminated because, like, her toes aren't straight enough during the kick. Like, and I was like, prove it. Like, right. I need you to prove it.
I want to see the toes.
I want to see the tapes. Like, I was like, number one, she has a cheerleading background. I was like, she can't do the kicks.
She was a cheerleader on another team.
On another team. On a basketball team.
I also think maybe there's a little bit of ageism, too. Because when she found out how old she was, she She gave a little, Kelly, I'm talking about. Kelly gave a little, when she found out she was like 32.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a pause and a, kind of, yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was she wasn't flexible enough.
Yes.
And I believe
sabotage.
They use some sort of word to describe, like, we understand that your background is in, and it was like urban or hip hop or some sort of like dance training because she was a basketball cheerleader.
Right. You think that was throwing a little bit of a... Yeah, I do as well.
Yeah. And so, and I tried to, like, I talked about the privilege about, like, there's a lot of privilege that goes on with the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders because someone has to be supporting you because you can't support yourself on the thing.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Were they paying for the hotel? Like,
no.
What was happening?
That's why and so it's a million things that Kelly's keeping in her mind, though, too, because, like, let's us not forget that we did have an America's Next Top moment, model moment where they dyed a girl's hair just to cut her the next day.
Yes. Like, what did you think about Kelly's hair? Because that was kind of a big...
Kelly's hair has not... Oh, are you talking about cheerleader Kelly or boss lady Kelly?
Oh, I'm sorry, cheerleader Kelly. What did you think with the America's Next Top Model? Like, so what did you think about that whole thing?
I grew up in the toxic America's Next Top Model culture, watched every season, would watch Tyra shave a girl's hair.
Right. Didn't think anything of it. I was like,
anything of it. Would literally just like be placing bleach on her every night before she went to bed, being like, I swear it's going to get the color that we need it to be. And like giving women chemical burns or whatever, just to be like, you're not smizing enough in this photo, and send them right home. After
crying
after you've lost all of your eyebrows, like, and eyelashes, and your hair is 14 different colors.
Just experimenting on people.
So to me, it was like, okay, so you didn't want them fitted for uniforms. If you were going to have to shell out money for them to be invested in this program, then you were okay to cut them. But some girl got a balayage, like a dye job, and then you sent her right home. You were like, honey, you look better as a brunette, and then bye.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, that had to be for the show, right? I mean, or do you think they do that often? Because they were kind of talking in the beginning about people's hair color. Oh, is she too blonde, do you think? Oh, she needs a makeover, da-da-da-da. Stuff like, I don't know.
And I wonder if it was ever covered in the original show, and I just can't remember it. But I do believe that at some point there's like a makeover consultation. Yeah. You know,
I think they were trying to tweak them the whole time. Like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, just to be cutting them, just to find something that they could pick up that they just didn't like.
Oh, yeah. The beauty standards are ridiculous.
Yeah. But and it's I didn't want to say anything mean about any of the other girls.
And another, like, privileged thing is, I'm sorry. And, like, girl, I'll be your friend, I promise, because you need one good one. Victoria wasn't out dancing anyone. And she kept, and, like, the nepotism kept kicking in. And they were just too... And I also didn't know if it was because that they thought that they were going to get a lot of people like me who would remember Victoria from the original show and be like calmed to see her or invested in her or whatever. I was invested in Victoria because I wanted to save her. Like,
oh my God, you're making me think. I never realized that. I think you're right. I think they did, because Victoria, she probably should have been cut from the very beginning.
Yes. For her to have to go to her cheerleading boss, because it broke my heart every time Victoria talked, because she'd like she'd walk into a room and she'd be like, hi, I'm just wondering if anyone's ever going to notice me. and Kelly would be like, what do you mean? What do you mean? You know, you're a good dancer. I don't understand. And she's like, I just thought that maybe I could be like team captain or something. And then Kelly would be like, why you don't talk to anybody? Why would we make you captain of anything when you're a mute? Like, I don't understand, Victoria.
Laughing at the situation, I'm laughing at your impression of Victoria and Kelly because it's so spot on. Because that is exactly the desperateness of the exchange. Yeah. Like,
and then Kelly
would like not the like couldn't give a shit.
Couldn't give a shit. And then Kelly would be like, I love you. Say hi to your mom. Say hi to your mama for me. And then would just send her home like the most toxic aunt you could ever think of.
And I wonder if Victoria really only tried out again because of the show then to get back on, because she really didn't seem like she wanted to be there. I mean, she was miserable.
She didn't have any friends on the team, which we later found out may have been because her mom was a snitch.
Yes, and I believe that.
Oh, I believe
that
it.
Mom, I don't even
think Victoria had to feel like, I don't think she had to feed her information. I believe her mom would go, how was your day? And she'd be like, oh, Megan gave me a chocolate chip cookie. And then that mom's just live texting
people
Kelly.
To kill list.
Yeah. Just be like, Megan is just like eating edibles the entire time and like just spinning it. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Poor Victoria. What did you think? Do you think the room was real? Her bedroom? Do you think that was real? Because I cannot believe that was her real bedroom.
So here's the thing. Because the Real Housewives franchise is starting to break the fourth wall a little bit more in these newer seasons, I recently had to come to terms with that their confessionals aren't done in their home. They're done on like a green screen of a foyer. I was like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
So
but she was in a room.
She was in a room. She was sitting.
She was sitting on like a bed that was like one of those showroom beds that you'd see in like Sears or something. That's what it looked like to me.
Well, I bet you everything is perfect in her room.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she had this like ballerina slipper, like a bunch of slippers that like formed a heart.
Yeah, it's her fifth grade bedroom.
Not that you see my crazy, whatever, but she had a ballet slipper thing, and then like everything was Dallas Cowboys. Every single thing. And then she had like a pile of books, which made me think, okay, good.
Read.
She can read. She does have extra like curricular activities that she's into besides the Dallas Cowboys. But I was like, what is this bedroom? It's kind of like sinister.
So you hyper focused on the bedroom. I was still too shell shocked from the birthday TikTok where I thought streamers on the door.
That was
balloons covering every wall, streamers covering all the lights, pom-poms, giant on fire cake.
The cake.
So I thought, oh, that's cute. She's making TikToks before people come over for her birthday. No. The birthday party is for it's just for TikTok. The whole thing was just, number one, I should be making more TikToks. And like, this is me every time. I'm just like, hey, everybody, what's up? And it's like me and my glasses and my hair is sometimes brushed. And I'm just like, misogyny is real. Have you heard? And Victoria's literally throwing herself a birthday party for a 10-second TikTok, which I get you those likes and those shares, baby girl. But my brain thought, oh, this is nice. Like, people are coming over for her birthday, because why would you decorate to that?
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
And then she sat down to eat one nibble of cake with her mother, and I burst into tears.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
I was so upset. I was like, this is dark.
I was thinking, run, get out of that house. It was like a mixture of like Carrie with like a little bit of like whatever happened to Baby Jane kind of vibes going on. I was
a
like,
little mommy dearest,
like sprinkled in. She needs to go, which she has.
And girl, I tell you, I'll come visit you. I'll come redecorate your apartment. I'll come whatever. I'll call the Rockettes. I don't know.
Oh, I would love to. Have you seen the Rockettes?
No.
Incredible. They are so incredibly precision, like so talented. I mean, it could be another bad
Rockettes call it.
Like worse than like DCC could be, but yeah, they were incredible. So I'll give them that. Hopefully they're getting paid too.
And I think like that's one of the things too, where it's like, it kind of like breaks the facade of like, this is all about sisterhood and girls empowering other girls and everyone making each other feel nice because no one's spending Victoria's birthday with her.
Right. But it seemed like they like in the veterans, like the one veteran, I wrote her name down. Kat and Caroline, I believe, were both talking about her and like seemed to really like her and love her and like had protective vibes. It seemed like when they talked. So I don't know what the deal was. I couldn't. Maybe Kelsey had like I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. But I know every time like someone would say something about Victoria and I would just go, she just makes me deeply sad. Like it just
love her down though. Love her down. I thought I was
down.
not gonna like her when I first started it.
Yeah.
When I first started the doc. I was like, oh, this girl, this is the villain, probably. Yeah. They were setting her up. But, oh, my God, I just wanted to hug her.
Because, again, it's really hard to, like, hate someone when they're down bad crying at the gym. Like, no, I don't I don't have it in me. Like, my sister and I get not into it, but I notice that that's, like, a difference between me and my sister where, like, my sister could care less if someone's having a bad day or whatever. If she hates you. And I'm like... I can't just watch her just be like crying into a pillow about her like fight with her hubby or whatever and deciding that like I'm above it to call him a motherfucker. Like, no, I'm always ready to call somebody a motherfucker. Like, just call me up. But yeah, you can't hate Victoria. It's like kicking a puppy.
I know. Victoria loved her down.
Because we all know those women or who have been those women who would do anything for anyone to say something nice to you. And
yes.
that was
all she wanted.
All she wanted was for Kelly to be like, I'm so glad you're here. And Kelly would be like, what do you want?
Right.
You can kick. That's why you're here.
Yeah. Get your stamina up.
Get your stamina. Are you fueling yourself? Which I do have to say that like as nice as I am and as supportive as I am, if you are the friend who needs constant validation, I eventually become Kelly when I'm like, what do you want? I don't know. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, maybe Victoria was a bit needy, like with them, you know, but she needed some. You do need feedback, I think, from any job.
Yes.
Am I doing a good job? Like, what am I doing here? You know? Yeah. And I feel like that was her, and she was getting nothing.
And I do feel like it's a very distinct experience to have when you know that everyone at work is talking about how you should be fired, and yet no one's firing you. And I feel like Victoria picked up that all they ever did was like her kicks are sloppier, her thighs are bigger, her this, that, and the... She looks like she's asleep. And they were never going, Victoria's our girl, our go-to, make her a captain. She was like, why am I here if no one actually thinks I should be here?
Right. And they didn't tell her straight up. Exactly.
Yeah.
And they didn't tell her straight up, we want you here for the show, basically, because we think you'd be good for the show.
Right. Right, you're a plot point.
Because now I think that because I truly do. Like when you brought that, I was like, oh my God, that's so why she was there.
Yeah, because you do have to craft plot points in our reality TV. Like there has to be something that we're filming a schedule around. Like, but yeah, I mean, like Reese's husband was another plot point.
Oh, let's get into Reese because
our Disney princess Reese.
Disney princess. I also loved Reese. For a hot second, a very, very hot pinch of a second, I was like, this is too much. This is like sickeningly sweet. You know, I can't. This is too much.
Oh, she should be a girl.
She won me over. Yes, she totally should be with the Jesus and everything. You know, it was like, all right, give it a rest. But she won me over.
Listen. When she had her bachelorette party and it was just going around Disney and having Disney princesses sign her autograph book and telling them that she was getting married. And people were making fun of it. I'd be like, listen, I would have rather have ran into that at Epcot than a drunk JoJo Siwa trying to scream the lyrics to Karma at me. Trying to make me convinced that I know the lyrics to her song through osmosis, because that's what JoJo Siwa was doing that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's just a sweet, sweet girl, and just, I don't know. I feel like there wasn't a bad bone in her body, and I mean, who knows? Who knows what could come out tomorrow, but
not me sticking up for a man, but her man did uproot his entire job and life and leave their very small hometown that they went to high school together and where all of his family and her family were, so she could do this. That is what,
as he should, because he was goofy as hell.
Yeah,
he was goofy as hell. He matched her goofy because she was goofy too in a way, but like cute goofy, cutesy goofy. Yeah. Like you were saying, Disney princess, and he was goofy as hell. Let's just all admit it. When we first saw him, we were like, what? Obsessed. But I think the more they were together and like had scenes together and stuff, like when she killed the deer and the whatever, and they were cooking it up, and they were, I was like, what is happening? But it was actually really, I was like, okay, now I totally see them.
Yeah.
I see them too. And he's her first boyfriend, I think, right?
Her first and only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, relatable. I haven't dated really a ton of people either. And like, I get that. And she was like, I was afraid of guys.
Yeah.
And like,
as you should be.
Right, exactly.
They have to touch a football instead of touching you.
Right. And she's super beautiful. And how wild was it when she dances?
Oh my God.
It's like watching Gem, right? It's like synergy. And it's like, and then it was like Reese, the cheerleader.
Yeah.
Boom. Like she was a knockout.
No Disney princess in her, like full Jessica Rabbit.
Right.
Yes.
It was wild.
And then just like sticks the landing and then giggles like Cinderella and is over it.
Yeah.
No, adorable. Her husband did do a solid. I mean, what else was he going to do if not follow her or whatever?
Exactly. As he should, because he knew he landed himself a diamond. So
yeah. I mean, because there was another cheerleader who was not going to do her last year because her and her husband had decided that like it was time to focus on whatever he wanted to do and like having babies or something.
Oh, who was that?
It was one of the vets.
Oh, was it the one where they went to like that baby shower or something like that?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I think they were all like, oh, after DCC, like, then it's like time to get married and have a baby. It was very like, I don't know.
Cotillion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like just prepping for marriage. Oh.
Yeah.
Something that I didn't even put on my outline because I forgot about it. The sisterhood was such a big theme of the show, but then also you had veteran sister and rookie sister sharing a bed so that rookie sister could try out, and veteran sister has aged out of Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders, and everything they said to one another was just coded resentment back and forth, and I was like, oh, this will be cute.
Yes,
this should be the next show. Is just like them trying to pretend like they like one another for cameras.
Yeah, the actual sisters. You mean Anna Kate was her name?
Anna Kate and
Caroline.
Yeah.
Okay, I had to write these names down because I was like, what? Yeah, they introduced Anna Kate kind of late.
Yeah.
So I didn't really connect with her as much. Or did they? Did they? No, I guess she was there the whole time. I just didn't connect with her that much. I don't know. Yeah.
I could really like connect on like how through no fault of your own, you're somehow pinned up against your sister and neither one of you know what to do with it. So you're just sniping.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's like one has aged out and now she has to watch you do all of the fun parties. And it's.
But did you feel that way though? I felt that way kind of with like Victoria and her mom.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and Victoria's
there was a lot of that going on.
Victoria's mom wasn't even like one of the like super professional cheerleaders. She was still one of the cheerleaders that just like showed up and did jazz hands and it was like, and ta-da! And then left. So I think a lot of those older women all of a sudden became very like uniformed and looked all the same or whatever. mostly because of like Dallas culture, but also because like then they got to be a part of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders that didn't exist when they were cheerleaders, when it was all just like tailgating and showing up on a field and buying your own pom-poms. Yeah. So I bet you Victoria's mom is just mad that like, well, that wasn't what it was like when I was doing it. When I was doing it, it was a lark.
Yeah, she didn't understand the culture, what was going on now with like because she didn't even understand like the pay.
No.
Like the pay conversation. She was just like, well, we just snapped our fingers and like you said, like whatever. And then Kelly was saying about Victoria's mom also, just real quick. She said, Kelly, the other Kelly, she was saying that when they were roommates, that she just had like so much personality. She just kind of like went in there and like just gave all her personality, and
she was the personality hire. Kelly says at one point,
personality hire.
Kelly says at one point, she's like, Victoria's mom could not dance.
Right.
that was not her forte or her strength.
Right.
That's not, she winked at the camera one time.
Like, yeah. But she definitely, like you were saying, that sister dynamic and how that was kind of like contentious, I guess.
Yeah.
Or like subtly contentious. Yes, I felt like that with Victoria and her mom for sure. Yeah.
As you know, I went and saw The Substance last week, and I think I think we're doing an episode about it. Yeah, I need you to see it.
You and who? Because I know Julie is not going
to. Me and my horror besties, Elizabeth and Darcy, who have been on the podcast before to talk about scary movies. So I need you to see it because I need other people to talk to, because like it just truly. But The Substance is all about female aging, and like,
and I'm so into that because like being 45 now,
shut
and
up, 45.
Yes, and perimenopausal, and all of these things that are happening. You know, mammograms and colonoscopies now, and all that. So it's just like that. It does like affect you.
Well, and I think the thing of it is too is like, as a society, we haven't figured out like the gentle balance of like grieving the fact that you're aging and then like talking to younger people about that grief. Like, I feel like the contentious part of like the sisters or the mom and Victoria or whatever goes away if the older person just looks at the younger person and goes, you know, I just miss it. And when I look at you sometimes, it reminds me that I miss it, and like having a mature conversation about it. But we're not like taught to be like accepting of like youth and age and all of it. So instead we just get like so passive aggressive.
Very. And like she looks at Victoria probably like, oh, I want to be you through like how I put all of my shit onto you, and or want to mold you into the way I was, because I was young and hot and had whatever body and this whatever personality and this and that, and you should be that. But Victoria is her, like in everybody is your own person, your own personality, your own totally different. I feel like she can't be that, and like it's got to drive them both crazy.
Yeah, I mean, my mom got wind that we call her Hot Mom on this show, and then she got wind through snitches that I keep saying that all my mom wanted was for me to be as hot as her, and like it was never going to happen. And then my best friend is always in the comments being like, you were as hot as your mom. You and your mom are both hot, mom. But my mom has like been trying to rewrite that story in my head to be like, you're not a loser. You've never been my loser daughter. And I'm like, oh, thanks, Mom.
Right. Wait, I didn't say all that, Mom.
Right. You've never. Well, every once in a while, I'm like, I think I'm your loser daughter. I'm unmarried. I'm never gainfully employed. Like, I just think, like, I'm the bad pancake you should have thrown out. And she's like, never. You're my strong daughter. You're my daughter who's trying her hardest to live the life she herself wants. And I'm like, okay, Mom.
No, I love that. Yes, that's all true.
Yeah.
She's telling you the truth.
Listen, where was that Mom when I was 13?
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
That's true.
Where was that Mom when I was 13?
Well, you know what? But people, and I only say this because I'm a mom and I know I probably, need help myself. But like people do grow, like, and people do learn, and she probably does feel that way now, and probably back then was just,
Well, yeah, she was drowning in
all the
patriarchal
shit.
standards
Yes.
and mom standards
Yes.
and all of it. So it's easier to have a little bit of understanding for your loser kid when you yourself have relieved yourself of some of those pressures.
Exactly.
Is there anything else you wanted to bring up before I move us to?
Yeah. The one thing, okay, I wrote down a couple things.
Okay.
The one thing I noticed something new rewatching.
Mm-hmm.
All their hair is down. How come they don't tie their hair back?
And I can only say this from experience, as my hair is pulled back all the time now because I haven't cut all of the nasty purple out of it that's faded. But I remember being young and thinking that every time I pulled my hair back, it was like defeminizing myself, like it made me less feminine. So I think it's still part of the like sex factor uniform.
Yes.
But could you imagine doing all those kicks and flips and all of that in your hair?
No, with this? Look at my
swallowing
hair.
Your hair?
Yes. It gets in my eyelashes. Like, look at this.
Yeah.
It's always in my mouth. If I have gloss on or it sticks to it. And they're flipping it all around. And
so every time my nephew FaceTimes with me, he laughs his ass off because usually I'm like sitting on the couch. And if I'm sitting on the couch and I want to rest back, I can't have that giant ass claw clip on my head just poking me. So I literally pile all of my hair into a crazy mass on the top of my head and just like manically clip it to the top of my head. And he's like, my aunt looks like a crazy person. And he just shrieks with laughter. So I couldn't be a cheerleader. My hair touched me. Ew.
Right. Yeah. I was thinking that. I was like, oh God, like I couldn't, the wind blowing, like just everything. Like anyway, that was just one thing I noticed, but you were you're so smart.
Oh my
gosh. So smart. And that is exactly why they have their hair down, because they're supposed to look like these beautiful sex bots from Austin Powers.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's probably, we didn't talk too much about Kelly and Judy, but I mean, obviously.
Listen, we did. Because
we did, okay.
There's always here's the thing. The thing that's the trickiest about the patriarchy is that it knows how to hire and employ women to make you believe that patriarchy isn't happening. So Judy and Kelly are just good enough at being like, oh, honey, we hate to cut you, but we're doing it. Here's this lady whose entire job is to walk your sobbing ass out to your car.
Sharpie.
Which I was like, that's nice. They have a whole lady on staff to just cuddle those women when they need it.
Yeah. He's probably getting paid way more than them.
Honestly. And so it's all that facade of everything's okay. Everything's okay. Don't question it because everything's okay. Mama's here. But they're just the people, they're also not moving the needle to where it needs to be.
Not even. It's going back.
No.
The needle is behind me.
Kelly is upholding a standard. She's not pushing boundaries.
Not at all.
And that's
but my God, was she riveting to watch.
Oh my God, I love her.
And I do too. And I don't like that I do, but I do.
Would love to meet her. Would love to have one conversation with her.
Yes.
Would love to know what feminism means to her and Judy.
Imagine getting a compliment from her.
Oh my God, I'd die.
Oh God.
It's the same. It's the same as that lady who was the cheer coach on the Netflix show Cheer, Monica. I'm I'm obsessed with Monica.
And the same people that did Cheer did this, which I loved Cheer.
I loved Cheer. Yes. And it's like anything. It's like, a grumpy old man who's a judge on Dancing with the Stars loved my cha-cha. I'm dead. Which my latest hyper focus is how misogynistic the scoring is on Dancing with the Stars because I think Tori Spelling went home too early.
You know what? I have to admit, I have never watched Dancing with the Stars, although I usually am very interested in who's going to be on it, who's on it. And I knew Tori was on it, but she got cut.
She already got cut. She was one of the first 2 people cut. Her and Anna, criminal lady.
Oh, Anna?
Yeah, they got caught on the same night. And
those ankle bracelets, they could be a little heavy, so.
We've got 2 men, 2 very old men, who were the men that were the sacrificial men to make them go home early. They're barely doing anything. But because men are barely required to do anything, and those cute girls just cha-cha all around them or whatever, they always score higher. And I'm horrendously mad.
Yeah.
I've stopped watching because I can't handle the judging, so I just watch the clips on Instagram.
That's annoying. Phaedra's on it, right?
Yes, Phaedra's on it.
I wonder if is she good at dancing? Have you seen her dance?
Oh,
sorry, I'm going off on it.
I can't remember if I watched Phaedra. I love Phaedra. I believe that Phaedra should just be able to take up space wherever Phaedra wants to take up space. She's my favorite. She's my lady.
I love her. I love her because of Housewives too. And I know there was I didn't watch why she left. So I'm just choosing to like not acknowledge that really and not like know anything about it. But I loved her obviously on Traitors too. So
we love
Phaedra.
All right. Well, let's move on to our closing ceremony where we take a life lesson from what we've discussed, the misogyny within cheerleading. Who knew there was some? And
who
knew? And then manifest for a better future. What do you think you learned about yourself, misogyny, or America by watching the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders docu-series?
I think I just learned I'm more passionate about wage equality.
Yeah.
And just giving raises to those who deserve it and paying people what they are worth. And I don't know if I realized it I think I've always known I had those beliefs, but I think especially after watching this and being so disgusted with the owner who has is a multi-millionaire, being so disgusted by that and seeing the obvious disparity and just really no care in the world about it, it really pissed me off. And so,
yeah, I think one of the things that I learned about myself is that I am still very quick to give women the benefit of the doubt. So if I see a gaggle of women, I'm like, this has to be healthy. But it's like, but then you have to look at the math and you have to think about how many white women voted for Trump. And then you have to think about like how many women are sitting at the top of organizations and not getting other women paid. Like, and who's calling someone's face too chubby to be in a calendar. Like, so I still and I think it's because I'm so exhausted. I'm exhausted. Like, it's easy to be exhausted with men. Like, it's just easy. But when you look at a gaggle of women, you want to be like, oh, I can feel at home here. It's fine. And I start to lower my defenses.
Yes, you're right. And I think I feel the same way, honestly. Actually, I do and I think that's what made me so angry is that these women are here at the top and they can do so much. And maybe it's because she took over the ownership, the CEO, let's call her out again, Charlotte Jones, fuck you. And she took over this team from her father, I believe it was. And she's upholding those same beliefs.
It's like another lesson in itself where it's like, I think this is what I struggled with in The Substance too, because it's like, how angry am I allowed to be at women for still being poisoned by misogyny? Like, how angry am I? Like, I didn't even have that much to say about The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives because I'm like, well, of course this is how they act. Why would they act any way else?
But still, I think I would want to protect them. And I would want to protect even Charlotte Jones. I would want to protect her. I would want to protect Kelly and Judy.
Listen,
I want to protect all the girls.
When that It Ends With Us drama was all over my feed, I was like, I know the man is bad. I know the man who has built his entire brand on being a non-toxic man and getting over misogyny himself is suspicious and actually secretly toxic. And then Annie, who's on the podcast all the time, had to be like, they're both
love
bad
Annie.
people.
Hi, Annie.
I'll tell her that. She's who I went to see The Substance with.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But she had to remind me, she's like, Blake Lively is also a bad person who loves plantations. And I was like, that's right, nuance.
Right.
That's right. But I wanted to protect Blake because I'm like, she should have been given, why does he get to tell the stories of domestic violence and women to begin with? He has no right. And I get like very like haughty about it.
Because I think you want to protect women.
I want to protect
that's
women.
Just your first instinct. And I think that's a good instinct to have. I still do. Even, as jaded as we could get. And there are, obviously, we acknowledge bad women in the world and women that are, like you said, they're pushing the needle as far back as they can. You still have that inkling to protect women.
Did you see Speak No Evil? Did you ever reschedule that date for yourself to go see it?
No, but did I see the French version? Either I saw it or like I saw clips of it. So I actually know what happens.
So
did you see it?
Yes, I've seen it twice because my sister couldn't go the first time and I wanted to watch my sister watch it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and my ally and my true newest best friend, James McAvoy, has the best use of a song in movie history, and I'm obsessed with him in this movie. I actually enjoyed it better than The Substance. But there's a part in the movie where I literally looked at my sister's friend and I was like, you can't save them all because they have to like come to terms with this woman being too embedded with this evil guy. I was like, you can't save them all. Like that's what I've had to like swallow, that like some of them just get left behind.
That's true.
That's true. Dark. So thank you, James
It's
McAvoy.
Dark but true. Yeah.
Ally James McAvoy. What would you like to manifest now that we've watched the Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders docu-series for a better future? What's a better future look like?
For the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders?
For all of us. Just like the collective energy. But they're there too.
I want to manifest, this is so off. I want to manifest a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader show. Like actual, like they're in the stadium.
Yeah.
But we're watching that. Like the almost like the football game is like the cheerleader halftime. Oh. And like the whole show is the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders.
Like they go on tour, like the Dancing with the Stars people. Yeah.
Yes. And I want to see like those light up uniforms that glowed in the dark and all that. Like I want to see that. And I want to see all the routines. I want to see the kicks. I want to see, well, I don't know. I feel bad when they did that split. When they go down in the split, the hip, what they call it, the hip buster or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. They don't have to do all that. But I want to see them on the road. I want to see them getting paid, number one.
That's another revenue point for them. If they're on tour.
Yes. Yeah. I want to see them on tour. I want them to have their own thing, like apart from everything else, where they're getting paid and they're doing their thing. And I don't know. I want to see these girls thrive. I want to see everybody thrive. I want to see Victoria on the Rockettes or doing whatever the hell she wants to do. TikTok CEO, whatever she wants to do. I want to see them, Reese, getting married at Disney. Oh, she already got married, right?
She already got married.
Yeah. I want to see all of them. I want to see them thrive for sure. Yeah. But definitely I want the cheerleaders to be paid just as much, if not more, than the football players.
Honestly, what is football?
Yeah, who cares?
I think my manifestation is that within the next 10 years, maybe even 5, because climate change is a ticket, that we start seeing body and ability diversity on the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders.
Yes.
I want like openly gay Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders, which is something I always want, is just like openly gay moments in time right in front of me for consumption. Mm-hmm. But, just like people with mobility aids, people, I am always suckered into TikTok of like watching someone with Down syndrome at a dance recital or something. And then like I cry But then I want that to be so normalized that I stop crying because it's not inspirational. It's just everyday life.
Just them dancing, yeah.
It's just them dancing. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, I understand why I cry because it is inspirational and it does mean something that they're doing it. What did I almost cry about today? It was so stupid.
Well, I cried when I saw Star Wars, when I brought my kids to Star Wars. Well, I brought Eli to Star Wars and we saw like a black man holding like a lightsaber. I cried. I burst into tears because it was just like, so I get it.
It was during Young Frankenstein when the monster gets to do a dance routine and his whole role is to like tap dance badly and stiffly because he's Frankenstein and then say putting on the Ritz.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm gonna cry. I'm in the front row. He's gonna look at me and be like, that lady's crying. Like, but I was like, why am I so had every time that like someone against all odds did it? But like, that's who I am. I just burst into tears. I also think I burst into tears at the diversity in Star Wars when Finn popped off his helmet. Listen, the new Captain America movie about to make all these white men angry.
Oh yes. Well, wait, and all the Disney like the Little Mermaid.
Yeah. But everything, here's the thing, like, there's no one who can get mad like a Marvel man. All these white men.
Oh, true.
Like, I don't even, because here's the thing, those men just caught on that The Boys was making fun of them.
Like, oh, right. Yeah.
So now they're gonna be watching like Iron Man, Black Falcon taking over Captain America, and they're gonna be like, is he saying one more time that America's bad? What happened to these movies being fun? And it's like, Stanley was always telling you guys that America was bad.
Yeah.
It was
right.
It was his secret.
Bad.
It's bad here. Like, it's bad here. God. Shanaz, thank you so much for being my friend and for being here.
Thank you for being my friend and thank you for having me. I'm so honored.
Do you have anything you want to plug?
Not at all. I have nothing to plug.
I have nothing to plug.
I have absolutely nothing to plug. Please do not find me on any social media.
That's why I didn't use her last name. Don't look at her.
I want to plug you. Oh. Wait, that sounded really wait. Well, Ooh, that's another show. No, nothing to plug. I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
When I tell you, I hope Chelsea Devantez is listening to this.
Yes.
When I tell you that the cookies have changed my life, it's the only reason I vacation. I have dreams all the time that Shanaz and I don't even know if I've told you this. I have dreams all the time where Shanaz and I are on like, I drive up to a cabin and it's because Shanaz and I are on vacation together.
Oh my God, I would love that.
Like, it's you, it's Alrinthia, it's like all of like our girl power girls, and I'm just like hugging people, but you're always the first person I hug. And I think it's because we haven't gotten to hang out in person yet. I
know. I can't wait until we all get to like finally have our like big vacation.
I
can't wait.
No.
She's brought us all together, so shout out Chelsea.
It's changed my life. I've written a whole sitcom pilot script all because of all of the beliefs that these people have in me.
Yes.
But to support the podcast, make sure that you've subscribed so you get the immediate download. Make sure you follow us at Men I've Tolerated Pod. Leave us a 5-star review and a written out review so I can read it online. And I just like compliments, like Victoria. I too am just sitting around waiting for compliments. And remember, tolerators, you don't have to smile through anything you're tolerating, including a bunch of old ladies sitting in a stand being like, her thighs were smaller last year. Smiles are for joy.